giant Goliath, the Goth. He's a Gath, excuse me. And Skip, so for me, I don't even know how we respond to this. No, I do not think Tom Brady is David. And I don't think he became Goliath because the situation is that David, Skip, how do I explain this so people can understand? David, oh my goodness, Tom Brady chose to play football. David did not choose to be a soldier. David was a shepherd boy. Yeah. And God sent him. He says, I'm going to deliver, the Lord will deliver you to my hands today. The birds and the beasts will feast upon your body on this earth today.
And how did he slay the giants?
He didn't want any armor. Saul tried to give him his armor. He said, I don't want that. All he took was he took his little spear, he took his little slingshot, and 5 stones that he collected from the brook.
Well, you read the Wikipedia.
No, Skip, you know, your boy used to be big. I was big in the church. I was a junior deacon for like 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he uses his slingshot in 1 stone only, and he nails him right between the eyes.
Right between the eyes.
And he drops.
Yep.
Okay? So David slays Goliath.
So I want to know who is the Goliath that Tom Brady slayed? The NFL?
Okay, that's why the analogy for me does not work. I will give you that David has a Goliath resume, because if you look at the scope of the achievement, it's like, oh, that's Goliathan, right?
Right, yes.
But no one ever thinks of Tom Brady as Goliath.
No.
Because Tom Brady doesn't strike fear in anybody's heart.
The Bible speaks that Goliath was over 9 feet tall.
Right.
Nobody looks at Tom Brady like, Tom Brady's like just so huge, he just has...
Right. Look, Goliath could slay an army with his bare hands.
Yes.
That's how intimidating he was. That's the force of nature that was Goliath.
It was, Skip, it was basically one battle. You sent out your best, your champion. Goliath beat him down, and the situation is the same for 40 days.
Okay. So I'm glad we're doing this, just because I would like to put in perspective Tom Brady's accomplishments in all of his 9 Super Bowls. Do you realize he hasn't blown anybody out in his victories, nor has he ever been blown out in a loss?
Right.
They're all very close games. They're all David-esque kind of games, right? He's going to need all that he's got. Lord help him. And there's no spirituality going on here. Nobody ever said he's a child of God.
He's anointed one.
Because I don't even know what his faith is. He never talks about it. So it's not like we got Tim Tebow operating here, right?
Okay.
So now we look at the margins of victories.
Yes.
Or just the margin. Let's just defeat and victory, okay? So it goes Rams by 3 in that, for the greatest show on turf. Then Carolina win by 3. Philly by 3 against Donovan McNabb. Then they lose to Eli by 3. Then they lose to Eli again by 4. Then Seattle, they win by 4. Atlanta, it was 6 because they scored a touchdown in overtime. And then Philly was an 8-point game that still was a 1-score game because he's throwing into the end zone. Now they'd have to go for 2 to tie, but it's a 1-score. And remember, the only double-digit margin is against the Rams, and it's because now my guy Zerline, it was 3-3 midway fourth. But my guy Zerline, now the Cowboy kicker, was the Rams kicker that night. He had for him a chip shot. It was 48 yards, but it was an easy kick for him late in the game to cut the score down to 7, right?
Then maybe onside and you get it back again.
And he missed it.
Right.
Well, they were in position for it to be, no more than a 7-point game. Okay, so if you do the total, if you just do the point differential for all these wins and losses, Brady is a plus 1.6 points in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Well, that's absurd. That's all David-esque, right? There's no Goliath operating here at all. And remember, I covered so many Super Bowls going back into the late 70s, 80s, 90s that were unwatchable.
Yes.
They were blowouts.
The NFC, until we broke the stranglehold, all of them was blowouts, Skip.
Okay.
With the exception of the one in Tampa, the Giants-Buffalo, when it was the ride. But other than that, they were blowouts.
Your quarterback, number 7, John Elway. Before you got there, he had already played in 3 Super Bowls.
They were blowouts.
He had lost those 3 Super Bowls to the Giants and Phil Simms 39-20, and then to Washington 42-10 he lost. That was to the Doug Williams breakthrough Super Bowl.
And then 2 years later.
And then San Francisco and Joe Montana was 55-10. These are Super Bowl games with Super Bowl parties across the country, and people are just, they're not even watching the game. It's over. Then Shannon Sharp arrives, and you beat Green Bay 31-24, but then you beat Atlanta pretty handily, 34-19, I think it is. Okay, then my teams, the Cowboys juggernaut of the 90s. What happens? They get Buffalo back-to-back, and they beat them 52-17 and 30-13. And then San Francisco with Dion breaks through, and they get San Diego in the Super Bowl, and they beat them 49-26. Then Dallas with Dion wins 27-17 over Neil O'Donnell and Pittsburgh Steelers.
Didn't Green Bay beat New England by double digits?
35-21. That was the Brett Favre breakthrough Super Bowl. And then you guys do a number on the New York Giants, 34-7 with Shannon Sharp, now a Raven. Okay, look at the blowouts, and every Brady game has been one score except for one that should have been one score.
And it hasn't been very often, Skip, that the games have come down. I remember, like Joe, in the earliest, the game came down to one possession. It was like the last one I really can remember was like Joe in Miami, I think, against Cincinnati.
Yep.
When he hit John Taylor on 200 jet slant.
Well, that was a breakthrough for me because I'd covered so many blowouts. I was like, aha,
finally,
we actually have a game here.
Or you get Washington against Miami when Rigo breaks off that 43-yarder.
That was big. That was on a strike year of 82.
Yeah, so the games were, like you said, they were 14, 21, 30-point blowouts, and it's never close. And then all of a sudden, Tom, every game that Super Bowl he plays in seemingly is close. But, and I agree with you, and that was the analogy, the point I'm trying to make. If Tom is David, who was the Goliath that he slayed?
Not. I mean, what's his big... Listen, his greatest adversary ever in a Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday night.
Right.
Because if there is a Goliath, a budding Goliath in this game, it's your guy, Patrick Mahomes. He beat, Tom he didn't outplay him, but he beat Kurt Warner in that first game. That's about as close as you can get to a top, what would Kurt be, top 20 all time?
Well, at the time, I mean, what did Kurt throw for? He threw for like 350 yards in that game. Before Brady came along and broke it over the last couple of years, he had, 2 or 3 of the top passing Super Bowl games in history. So, Tom, Kurt was a 2-time league MVP.
Right.
And that's why I said, Skip, we're going to talk about this. You look at what Brady did. They had the Super Bowl, they had a Super Bowl MVP, a 2-time league MVP, a 2-time MVP in Marshall Faulk, and Offensive Player of the Year in Marshall Faulk. They had 2 Hall of Fame receivers.
Yeah.
Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holtz are eventually going to get in, and Orlando Pace.
Okay. All right. I got that. But after that, no. No.
But hold on, wait a minute. But you keep telling me all these close games, that Kansas City was winning by. And they don't look impressive.
Okay.
They keep winning these close games.
Well, these are called Super Bowls.
Okay, they're close games, right? It's a game, though, right?
Yep.
Okay, it's still kind of...
But he keeps going David on everybody, and there's no Goliath in any of these games because...
But Skip, with the exception of only 2, he was favored. So he was the Goliath.
Okay,
going into the Super Bowl?
No, it's not like he strikes fear in people's hearts.
But I would just say,
okay, Patrick Mahomes strikes fear because they don't know. Like right now, Todd Bowles is thinking, wherever he is in Tampa, he's thinking, God, if we're not right on cue, he could torch us, right?
But Skip, because Goliath was the favorite.
Yeah.
He is the little boy going out there. So theoretically, Tom Brady has been Goliath more times than he's been David in the Super Bowl because he's been the favorite.
Okay, but nobody looked at him as Goliath because, as I keep telling you, he's the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing because he's in sheep's clothing.
Yes.
He doesn't.
But he kept winning.
Okay, well, he kept winning because he's got the all-time set of intangibles we've ever seen. It's why I made the point to you yesterday. He is the greatest overachiever in sports history because he's not wildly talented, right?
Right.
So he's doing a lot with a little internally also, right?
His ability to process information.
Yep.
His ability to recall. And his ability to remain calm. And that's what the really good surgeons, that's what the really good, whatever it is your profession, the really great ones can stay calm in the most stressful of situations. So no matter how chaotic it's going on around, it's monotone for you.
Okay, but there's no wow factor to it. And then Philly was an 8-point game that still was a one-score game because he's throwing into the end zone. Now they'd have to go for two tie, but it's a one score. And remember, the only double-digit margin is against the Rams, and it's because now my guy Zerline, it was 3-3 midway fourth. But my guy Zerline, now the Cowboy kicker, was the Rams kicker that night. He had for him a chip shot. It was 48 yards, but it was an easy kick for him late in the game to cut the score down to 7, right?